Well, it's my very great pleasure to be here, and it's an honor to be here, but particularly because this time I have met Ralph Hauenstein, and I have admired so much the Hauenstein Center for Presidential Studies, and now what he has also done with the Medical Center. He embodies what I want to say tonight about the importance of character. That's what ultimately tells about a leader. It's what ultimately tells about a nation. It's a real old-fashioned word, moral fiber. And part of that moral fiber is understanding that we are here to leave the world a better place. And he has made the world a better place, and it is a great privilege to have met you. And I'm honored to be giving this here in the Gerald Ford Museum. Now, leadership, President Eisenhower said, is something you learn by studying good examples. It's not a gift, you learn it. And I think President Obama could take President Ford as a very good example. To my mind, President Ford represents the kind of leader that is essential in a time of crisis. Gerald Ford was, again to use an old-fashioned word, a patriot. He loved his country because he knew that that country rested upon a special set of principles. Gerald Ford understood that the United States has a unique legacy of freedom, and that it has a unique destiny to leave the world a better place so that more people live in freedom because of the United States. I am willing to say that Gerald Ford was proud of his country every day of his life. And proud because it represented this tradition of freedom which he and others fought for on the field of battle. So Gerald Ford is a model of a leader. Now, when I say the United States has a unique tradition of freedom, we ask first, what do we mean by the word freedom? And that is the great challenge facing President Obama. It is to reach down into the American people and draw, as the founders of our country did, as Abraham Lincoln did, upon all that is best in the American people. And when we ask the question, what should President Obama learn from antiquity about freedom, ancient and modern, you really ought to say, what should President Obama? What should Congress? I heard a distinguished senator say not long ago that only one person in the world could fix the American economy, and that was President Obama. Well, that's nonsense. Under the Constitution, President Obama can't do a thing about the economy. That is Congress's job, and it cannot be shifted off to him. And the American people must, once again, understand that high position in politics, high position in the financial world, is a matter of trust. And that those who hold those positions must be accountable. That is our great tradition of freedom. But what do we mean by freedom? And we go back to antiquity and to Socrates, who said that the first step in understanding anything is to define your terms. And we have made a number of mistakes in recent years because we have used freedom in a very loose fashion. What we call freedom, in fact, is a set of ideals that comprise three concepts: political freedom, national freedom, and individual freedom. And these three are not mutually and essentially inclusive. In other words, you can have national freedom without either political freedom or individual freedom. National freedom is the most basic kind of freedom. It means freedom from foreign control. Political freedom is your freedom to vote, your freedom to hold office, your freedom to serve on a jury. And then individual freedom is your freedom to live as you choose as long as you harm no one else. It can include economic freedom. It can include freedom to your right to privacy. But each of these exist. In North Korea, in China, there is national freedom, without any political freedom or individual freedom. In ancient Sparta, there was national freedom, political freedom, no real individual freedom. In this country, we have achieved a unique balance of national freedom, political freedom, and individual freedom. And we have achieved such a unique balance in such a way that we think everybody else can achieve that. In fact, it is not clear at all, if you study history, that freedom is a universal value. Time and time again, people have chosen the perceived security of despotism over the awesome responsibility of freedom. In ancient Egypt, the society that built the pyramids did not even have a word for freedom. In ancient China, there's no word for freedom. Russia, from its origins as a Viking nation right on down to Vladimir Putin, has time and time again chosen despotism over freedom. But we have national freedom to such a degree that we cannot imagine being conquered. Now, political freedom. We had a good turnout in this last election, but whenever we have not a very good turnout of voters, it doesn't bother me, because we take that political freedom for granted. We take it for granted that at the time of the Civil War, 1864, there would be an election. That at the time of this economic crisis, there would be an orderly transition of government. That's how deeply rooted our political freedom is. And individual freedom, there is nowhere that you are more free to live as you choose than right here in the United States. But that has come about in a unique set of circumstances. Consider how we gained our national freedom. Consider that generation of statesmen. This infant republic brought forth in a new world a galaxy of statesmen unsurpassed in history. Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, James Madison. Name me another country that has produced such leaders. Roger Sherman added more to the Constitution than perhaps any other single figure. But how did they declare our national independence? Did they sneak about? No. They met the British boldly on the field of battle, and they declared that independence on a set of principles. The United States is the only nation in history founded upon principles. How do you get to be an Englishman in 1776? You right there. You were born there. It's a geographical accident. How'd you get to be a German in 1776? A German will still tell you it's because you spoke German as your mother tongue. Now, we have always said, you come from anywhere, you speak any language as your mother tongue, you adopt our principles and you become an American. And what were those principles? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You should never let your eyes glaze over when you hear those words. And they are a resounding statement of the influence of classical antiquity, the ideal of natural law, founded in Athens of the 5th century BC, stated in the play Antigone by Sophocles, that the laws of God are higher than the laws of men, and then written into Roman law. Now, it doesn't mean that all through history people have been treated equally. What it means is that is the ideal set by God. So our country is founded, one, on a belief in God. You can't get away from that. It says it, doesn't it? The laws of nature and of nature's creator. In fact, how many times does God appear in the Declaration of Independence? Tell me. 4 times. See, it wouldn't get through Congress today, would it? No. 4 times. So, we are founded upon an ideal belief in God, and that governments are instituted in order to ensure those principles. That was our Declaration of National Independence.